Wait! Stop scrolling right now! What you're about to see might be the craziest moment in BTS history. On the channel Jungkook Lover, we just uncovered something that has fans all over the world completely losing their minds. How is it even possible that Jungkook, J-Hope, V, and Jin suddenly appeared together? Without any warning. This isn't a rumor. This isn't edited. This is real. Before we reveal everything, hit like right now, drop your theories in the comments, and subscribe to Jungkook Lover, because what you're about to hear might change everything you thought you knew about BTS. Seriously, you are not ready for this. The global K-pop scene has witnessed countless shocking moments over the years, but nothing, and this cannot be overstated, nothing has prepared fans for what unfolded when four of the most iconic members of BTS were suddenly seen together at the same place, at the same time, without any prior announcement. No teaser, no hint, no countdown, just appearance, and not just any members. We're talking about Jungkook, J-Hope, V, and Jin. Within minutes, social media platforms erupted. Clips spread like wildfire. Fans replayed the same few seconds over and over, zooming in, analyzing body language, searching for hidden clues that might explain what seemed impossible just hours earlier. Was this planned? Was this accidental? Or was this something much bigger than anyone had anticipated? At first, many refused to believe it. The footage looked almost too perfect, too cinematic, too unreal. Four figures, unmistakable in presence and energy, sharing the same space. The chemistry was undeniable, the familiarity instant, yet the context remained a complete mystery. Some fans immediately jumped to the most hopeful conclusion, a comeback. But others weren't so sure, because this didn't feel like a typical comeback rollout. There were no official statements, no synchronized social media updates, no coordinated branding. Instead, everything about this moment felt spontaneous, raw, almost like something that wasn't meant to be seen, at least not yet. And that's where the mystery deepened. Observers began dissecting every detail. The outfits, the setting, the timing. Even the smallest gestures became subjects of intense scrutiny. Why were they there? Who organized this? And perhaps the most burning question of all, why now? The timing, in particular, sparked intense debate. Some fans pointed out that recent activities from individual members had already been raising eyebrows, subtle hints, unexpected interactions, moments that, at the time, seemed isolated but now appeared connected, as if pieces of a much larger puzzle were finally falling into place. Could this have been planned for months? Or was this a sudden decision, something driven by emotion rather than strategy? What made the situation even more explosive was the reaction from fans across the globe. It wasn't just excitement, it was disbelief. The kind of disbelief that turns into obsession. Threads, theories, and analyses flooded online communities, each attempting to explain the unexplainable. One theory suggested that this was a soft launch, an unconventional way to reintroduce group dynamics without the pressure of a formal announcement. Another claimed it might be part of a larger narrative, a carefully crafted storyline that would unfold over time. But then there were the more radical interpretations. Some fans believed this moment wasn't about music at all. They argued that the emotional weight of the reunion hinted at something deeper, something personal, a message perhaps, a signal, a reassurance to fans who had been waiting, hoping, and holding on. And yet, despite all the speculation, one thing remained certain. No one had a definitive answer. The silence from official channels only fueled the fire. No confirmations, no denials, just a growing storm of curiosity and anticipation. And in that silence, the moment took on a life of its own. Clips continued to circulate, each new angle adding another layer to the mystery. The way they looked at each other, the subtle smiles, the unspoken understanding. It was as if time had collapsed, bringing past and present together in a single, fleeting moment. For longtime fans, it was emotional. For newer fans, it was overwhelming. And for the global entertainment industry, it was a reminder of something powerful. The influence of BTS remains unmatched. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this entire Gatna wasn't what was seen, it was what wasn't. What happened before this moment? What conversations took place behind closed doors? What decisions led to this unexpected convergence? And more importantly, what happens next? Because moments like this don't just happen in isolation. They ripple, they build, they lead somewhere. The question is, where? Will this lead to a full reunion? A new project? A global announcement that reshapes the industry once again? Or was this simply a fleeting moment? A rare alignment of timing and circumstance that fans happened to witness? The truth is, no one knows. But one thing is undeniable. Something has changed. The energy feels different. The anticipation is sharper. The silence is louder. And fans, millions of them, are watching more closely than ever before. So now the world waits, watching, analyzing, hoping. Because if this moment was real, and all signs suggest that it was, then it might not just be a surprise appearance. It might be the beginning of something much, much bigger. And the only question left is this. The longer the silence continued, the louder the questions became. Because moments like this don't just appear out of nowhere, not when it involves names as massive as Jungkook, J-Hope, V, and Jin. These are not just artists casually crossing paths. These are global figures whose every move is usually calculated, scheduled, and carefully revealed. So how did this happen? Insiders remained silent. No leaks, no behind-the-scenes confirmations. And that, more than anything else, made the situation feel even more suspicious. Because in an industry where even the smallest detail often finds its way online, this came out of nowhere. Fans began to rewind everything. Old live streams were rewatched. Past interviews were revisited. Tiny details that once seemed meaningless were suddenly being reinterpreted with new urgency. A glance here, a phrase there, a moment of hesitation that now felt like a hidden message. Was this planned all along? Some pointed to subtle hints dropped weeks, maybe even months ago. A song lyric that suddenly felt too specific. A comment that at the time sounded casual but now carried a different weight. Could it be that they were quietly preparing fans for this moment without anyone realizing it? Or was this something far more spontaneous? Because there was something undeniably raw about the way they appeared together. The energy wasn't staged, it wasn't polished. It felt real, almost too real. The kind of real that doesn't come from rehearsals or scripts, but from genuine connection. And that's when another theory began to spread. What if this wasn't about a comeback at all? What if this was something personal? Fans started to focus not just on the fact that they were together, but on how they interacted. The eye contact, the relaxed body language, the unspoken familiarity. It didn't feel like a performance, it felt like a reunion, a real one. And suddenly the narrative shifted. This wasn't just about music anymore. It was about relationships, about time, about everything that happens behind the scenes that fans rarely get to see. But then, another detail emerged. Something small, almost easy to miss, but once noticed, impossible to ignore. The setting. It didn't look like a typical filming location. There were no obvious signs of production equipment, no visible crew directing movements, no structured environment that screamed official content. Instead, it looked ordinary, almost like a place where something unexpected could happen. And that only deepened the mystery. Because if this wasn't a scheduled shoot, then why were they there? Together? At the same time? The internet spiraled further. Some fans became convinced this was a hidden project, something being filmed in secrecy, deliberately kept away from public knowledge until the perfect moment. Others argued the opposite, that this was never meant to be seen, and what the world witnessed was simply a rare, unfiltered glimpse into their private lives. Two completely different interpretations.